There is a quiet theft happening in the lives of millions, and most never notice it. It does not come with noise. It does not announce itself. It does not break down your door or demand your attention. It happens slowly, politely, almost invisibly. Day after day, choice after choice, moment after moment, the world begins to decide who you will be. It decides how you think. It decides what you attempt. It decides what you believe is possible. And if you do not interrupt this silent process with a decision of your own, you wake up one day living a life you never consciously chose. You wake up busy, but not purposeful, tired, but not fulfilled, occupied, but not progressing. You look around and wonder how you arrived here. And the answer is simple, uncomfortable, and powerful. You never decided your future before the world decided it for you. This is where your transformation begins. Not with a new habit, not with a new plan, not with a new opportunity, but with a decision so firm, so final, so undeniable that it shakes the foundation of who you have been and establishes who you are becoming. The greatest figures in history did not drift into greatness. They declared it internally, long before the world recognized it externally. When Thomas Edison sat in darkness after thousands of failed attempts, he did not see failure. He saw inevitability. When Henry Ford was told the automobile was impractical, he did not hear doubt. He heard a challenge to his conviction. When Abraham Lincoln endured repeated defeat, he did not interpret loss as a verdict. He treated it as preparation. They did not allow the world to define their limits. They defined their own identity first. And that is the power you are reclaiming now. Because the moment you decide who you will be, the world loses its authority to decide for you. Understand this clearly. Most people do not live by design. They live by default. They follow the path of least resistance. They inherit beliefs from family, fear from society, limitations from experience, and they call it reality. But reality, as you know it, is simply the result of unchallenged thinking repeated long enough to feel permanent. But nothing is permanent when a human being decides otherwise. You are not stuck because of your past. You are stuck because you have not yet made a decision powerful enough to override it. You are not limited by your circumstances. You are limited by the story you continue to tell yourself about them. You are not held back by a lack of opportunity. You are held back by a lack of identity that demands opportunity. This is why the first battle you must win is internal. Before the world changes, you must change. Before your results change, your standards must change. Before your habits change, your identity must change. Because everything in your life is a reflection of who you believe you are. And the world is very comfortable giving you an identity if you do not claim one for yourself. It will tell you to be realistic. It will tell you to slow down. It will tell you to fit in. It will tell you to be satisfied. But the truth is, the world only offers those instructions to people who have not decided who they will become. Once you decide, something extraordinary happens. Your mind reorganizes. Your focus sharpens. Your tolerance for distraction decreases. Your awareness heightens. You begin to notice opportunities you previously ignored. You begin to hear solutions where you once heard problems. Because decision is not a word. Decision is a force. It is the line between drifting and directing, between wishing and becoming, between existing and living with intention. Napoleon Hill called this definiteness of purpose. Today, you might call it identity clarity. But the principle remains unchanged. You cannot build a great life on a confused foundation. You must know who you are becoming with such certainty that doubt has no room to negotiate. Imagine for a moment the version of yourself you would become if fear was not consulted, if comfort was not prioritized, if the opinions of others were irrelevant, if past failures carried no authority over your future. That version of you is not imaginary. That version is possible. But it requires a decision so bold that it separates you from who you have been. And that is what most people avoid. Because deciding who you will become means letting go of who you used to be. It means raising your standards beyond what feels comfortable. It means demanding more from yourself than anyone else ever has. It means stepping into responsibility that once felt overwhelming, and yet it is the only path to freedom. Freedom is not found in ease. It is found in ownership. Ownership of your thoughts. Ownership of your actions. Ownership of your future. The world will happily decide your limits if you do not declare them for yourself. It will hand you an average script and invite you to follow it quietly. It will offer you distractions disguised as entertainment. It will feed you comfort disguised as happiness. It will reward you for conformity and subtly punish you for ambition. Unless you interrupt the pattern. Unless you decide. Because the moment you decide, the script changes. You are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. You are no longer asking what is possible. You are commanding what will happen. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are moving with purpose. And purpose is the most powerful force a human being can carry. Purpose gives you energy when you are tired. Purpose gives you clarity when you are confused. Purpose gives you resilience when you are challenged. But purpose cannot exist without decision. You must decide what you stand for. You must decide what you refuse to tolerate. You must decide what kind of life you will build, regardless of how long it takes or how difficult it becomes. This is the moment where most people hesitate. They want change without commitment. They want growth without discomfort. They want success without transformation. But transformation begins the instant you say, I will no longer allow the world to choose for me. And you mean it. Not emotionally, not temporarily, not impulsively, but with quiet, unwavering conviction. Because the future is not something that happens to you. It is something you design through daily decisions that align with who you choose to become. Every day, the world asks you the same question. Will you follow the path already laid out, or will you create one of your own? Most follow. A few decide. And those who decide become the architects of their destiny. You are standing at that threshold now, not because circumstances are perfect, not because the timing is ideal, but because you are ready to stop drifting and start defining. You are ready to replace reaction with intention. You are ready to replace hesitation with clarity. You are ready to replace fear with identity. And once you make this decision, truly make it, something shifts permanently. You stop negotiating with your potential. You stop shrinking to fit expectations. You stop asking what is allowed and start declaring what is necessary. Because from this point forward, your life is not shaped by chance. It is shaped by who you decide to be. And the world, whether it realizes it or not, will have no choice but to adjust. You begin to notice something subtle but powerful after this decision settles into you. Your excuses start to sound unfamiliar. The reasons you once gave yourself for waiting, delaying, hesitating, they no longer fit the identity you have chosen. They feel like clothes you have outgrown. Thoughts that once felt reasonable now feel like barriers you refuse to entertain. Because when you decide who you will become, you also decide what you will no longer accept from yourself. You no longer accept procrastination as a personality trait. You no longer accept fear as wisdom. You no longer accept comfort as a reward. You begin to see comfort for what it truly is, a silent agreement to remain the same. And you did not decide to remain the same. You decided to become. This is where the internal battle intensifies. Not because life becomes harder, but because you become more aware. You start to see the gap between your current habits and your chosen identity. You start to recognize how often you have been negotiating with the very future you claim to want. You say you want greatness, but you tolerate mediocrity in your daily routine. You say you want success, but you entertain distractions that steal your focus. You say you want change, but you protect the very behaviors that keep you unchanged. This awareness is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to awaken you, because clarity is the beginning of power. You cannot change what you refuse to see, and now you see clearly. You see that every small action either reinforces who you used to be or strengthens who you are becoming. There is no neutral ground. There is no waiting zone. There is no pause in identity formation. Every day, you are becoming someone. The only question is whether it is by design or by default. This is why discipline becomes sacred. Not as punishment, not as restriction, but as alignment. Discipline is the bridge between the person you are and the person you decided to become. And this is where most people misunderstand discipline. They think it is about forcing themselves to do things they dislike. They think it is about suffering. They think it is about deprivation. But real discipline is not painful when it is tied to identity. When you see yourself as a focused person, focus is natural. When you see yourself as a disciplined person, discipline is expected. When you see yourself as a powerful person, powerful actions feel normal. This is why your decision matters more than motivation. Motivation fades. Identity remains. You do not wake up every day asking, "Do I feel like being this person?" You wake up knowing, "This is who I am now." Henry Ford did not wake up asking if he felt like building automobiles. It was who he had decided to be. Walt Disney did not ask if he felt like imagining new worlds. It was who he had become internally, long before the world saw it externally. And now, you must operate the same way. Not based on mood, not based on convenience, but based on identity. Because once identity is clear, action follows naturally. You stop debating with yourself. You stop negotiating with distractions. You stop arguing for your limitations. You begin to move with quiet certainty. This certainty changes the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you think. It changes how you spend your time, how you handle setbacks, how you respond to difficulty. You no longer see obstacles as signs to stop. You see them as tests of who you decided to become. Because challenges do not break a decided person. They reveal them. When Abraham Lincoln faced repeated defeats, those defeats did not weaken his resolve. They strengthened his identity. Each setback confirmed his commitment rather than questioned it. And this is the mindset you must cultivate now. Difficulties will come. Delays will happen. Unexpected problems will appear. But instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "How does the person I decided to become respond to this?" That question changes everything. It shifts you from emotion to intention, from reaction to leadership, from confusion to clarity. You stop living as the victim of circumstance and start living as the architect of response. Because while you cannot control every event in your life, you can control the identity from which you respond to every event. And that is real power. This is where resilience is born. Not from toughness, but from decision. Not from stubbornness, but from clarity. You endure not because you have to, but because you have chosen a path that requires endurance. You understand that growth demands pressure, that expansion demands discomfort, that transformation demands patience. And you are no longer afraid of that, because you know who you are becoming. And once you know that, nothing can convince you to go back. You begin to feel a sense of calm confidence. Not loud, not arrogant, just steady, grounded, certain. You stop rushing because you trust the process. You stop doubting because you trust your decision. You stop comparing because you are focused on your path. You are no longer chasing success. You are becoming the kind of person success naturally follows. And this shift is invisible to the world at first. People may not notice immediately. Your environment may look the same. Your circumstances may appear unchanged. But internally, everything is different. Because the world has lost its power to decide who you are. You have taken that power back. And from this moment forward, every thought, every action, every choice becomes a vote for the future you declared. You are no longer waiting for your life to begin. You have begun. Every day, the world asks you the same question. Will you follow the path already laid out, or will you create one of your own? Most follow. A few decide. And those who decide become the architects of their destiny. You are standing at that threshold now. Not because circumstances are perfect. Not because the timing is ideal, but because you are ready to stop drifting and start defining. You are ready to replace reaction with intention. You are ready to replace hesitation with clarity. You are ready to replace fear with identity. And once you make this decision, truly make it, something shifts permanently. You stop negotiating with your potential. You stop shrinking to fit expectations. You stop asking what is allowed and start declaring what is necessary. Because from this point forward, your life is not shaped by chance. It is shaped by who you decide to be. And the world, whether it realizes it or not, will have no choice but to adjust. And as this new identity settles deeper into your being, you start to recognize a truth that most people never confront. Clarity is rare because honesty is rare. Most people avoid being honest with themselves about what they truly want because honesty demands responsibility. It demands that you admit the life you are living is, in many ways, the result of the standards you have tolerated. It asks you to acknowledge that your current results are not random. They are reflections. Reflections of your habits. Reflections of your beliefs. Reflections of your decisions. This realization is not meant to burden you. It is meant to liberate you. Because if your past decisions created your present, then your present decisions can create an entirely different future. And suddenly, you feel empowered in a way you never have before. You realize you are not trapped. You are positioned. Positioned at the exact point where a new direction can be chosen. Positioned at the exact moment where a new standard can be set. Positioned at the exact place where your future begins to bend toward the identity you have declared. This is where vision becomes critical. Not vague desire, not wishful thinking, but a clear, emotionally charged picture of the life you are moving toward. The kind of vision that pulls you forward when discipline feels heavy. The kind of vision that reminds you why you chose this path when the results are not yet visible. Edison saw light before the bulb existed. Disney saw worlds before they were built. Ford saw highways filled with automobiles before roads were even designed for them. They did not wait for evidence to believe. They believed so strongly that evidence had no choice but to follow. And this is the level of vision you must cultivate. You must see the future version of yourself so clearly that your present self feels compelled to rise to meet it. You must feel the emotions of that future now. The confidence, the fulfillment, the impact, the freedom, the pride, the purpose. Because when the vision is emotionally real, discipline becomes logical. You are no longer forcing yourself to work hard. You are aligning yourself with a future you already feel connected to. This is the secret most people miss. They try to change behavior without changing vision. They try to build habits without building belief. They try to force discipline without feeling purpose. And without purpose, discipline feels like punishment. But with purpose, discipline feels like devotion. Devotion to who you decided to become. You begin to protect your time more fiercely. You begin to value your energy more consciously. You begin to treat your attention as a resource rather than something to be spent casually, because you understand now that your focus is the most powerful tool you possess. Where your focus goes, your life follows. If your focus is scattered, your progress is scattered. If your focus is directed, your results are directed. This is why the world tries so hard to capture your attention, because if it controls your focus, it influences your future. But now you are aware. You are intentional. You no longer allow random inputs to shape your thinking. You no longer allow distractions to steal hours from the life you are building. You no longer allow noise to drown out the clarity you have worked so hard to establish. You become selective. Selective with what you watch. Selective with what you listen to. Selective with who you spend time with. Selective with what you allow into your mind. Because you understand that every influence either strengthens or weakens the identity you are constructing. And this awareness changes the quality of your days. You begin to wake up with intention. You move through your day with direction. You go to sleep with a sense of progress rather than regret. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything is aligned. Aligned with who you decided to be. And this alignment creates momentum. Small wins begin to accumulate. Small disciplines begin to compound. Small improvements begin to multiply. And slowly, almost quietly, your life begins to transform in ways you could not have predicted. Not because you chased change, but because you embodied it. You start to notice opportunities that once passed you by, conversations that open doors, ideas that spark action, insights that lead to breakthroughs. Because your mind, now trained by decision and vision, is scanning the world differently. You are no longer looking for reasons why things won't work. You are looking for ways they will. And this shift in thinking is where true growth begins. You realize that the world does not reward the hesitant. It rewards the decisive. It rewards those who move with clarity, who act with purpose, who believe before they see. You realize that success is not reserved for the lucky. It is attracted to the committed. And you are committed now, not emotionally, not temporarily, but fundamentally. You are no longer hoping for a better future. You are building one, thought by thought, action by action, day by day, because you decided. And that decision has changed everything. Every day the world asks you the same question. Will you follow the path already laid out, or will you create one of your own? Most follow. A few decide. And those who decide become the architects of their destiny. You are standing at that threshold now, not because circumstances are perfect, not because the timing is ideal, but because you are ready to stop drifting and start defining. You are ready to replace reaction with intention. You are ready to replace hesitation with clarity. You are ready to replace fear with identity. And once you make this decision, truly make it, something shifts permanently. You stop negotiating with your potential. You stop shrinking to fit expectations. You stop asking what is allowed and start declaring what is necessary. Because from this point forward, your life is not shaped by chance. It is shaped by who you decide to be. And the world whether it realizes it or not, will have no choice but to adjust.